afternoon. Welcome back to the channel. For those who are new, my name is Marius Jr. What I do is I strive to make content that changes the lives of individuals, families, and communities in meaningful and positive ways. From success stories to literacy, financial literacy, you'll find something here that actually entertain you or pique your interest. Today we have the legend. I was able to find them. We got the legend. Dennison. Some of you all might know him as Cordell. Some of y'all might know him as Ocho. Some of y'all may know him as DJ. Look, I could keep going on and on and on. The legend himself in the flesh today, Dennison Cordell. Good brother, how you doing today?
Man, I'm doing wonderful, man. Blessed up, man. Happy to be a part of everything you're doing right now, man. Like truly, you know what I'm saying, to speak and just just anybody starting anything new, you know what I mean, it's always like I love speaking in volumes of people who just like, you know what I'm saying, stepping outside themselves and doing things new. And I salute you
Absolutely.
for even doing this and having a platform.
Absolutely. Great caller. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, man. Tell everyone a little bit about yourself. And then we'll just dive into just our conversations like we always just have them. Tell everybody a little
Yes.
bit about things that you went to right now, your purpose in life, something around there.
Okay, so real quick, just to make it like real small and immediate, like the look at my beard. Yeah, so pretty much, I mean, my story, as I like to tell it in the shortest version possible, is I'm from Dayton, Ohio,
Hmm.
born and raised, at adolescence, and very at a teenage age, moved to Columbus, Ohio, graduated out of Columbus, Ohio. Which crazy thing about that story is just like you know how like now the world is so like small. Back then the world was so big. Transitioning from Dayton to Columbus, which ain't nothing but like a 45-minute ride. But when
Hmm.
I did it, it was no cell phones, no social media,
Oh yeah.
and it was like so impactful because I all my family is from Dayton, Ohio, and I had to like transition into a city where I really didn't know nobody outside of me and my mom,
Hmm.
and a few of her friends, and it had a very impactful had an impact on my life. And then I was there for approximately like 5 years, and then graduated out of Columbus, attended the university, Central State University. Um, more so, not even more so due to the fact that I was part of this program called the Upper Bound Program, which is a TRIO program, a government program through TRIO, and it really impacted my life because if I would have never joined Upper Bound, I probably would have never went to college.
Really? So
Um,
Upper Brown gave you, I'm sorry, may I interject here? Upper Brown gave you that initial exposure to college. And the reason why I asked that is it something where you wasn't even thinking about college? You was like, you know what? My family come from this type of norm. We like what was that? How was that perceived? How was that um how can I say this? It's more so tell me about your values, your norms and beliefs as it was in Dayton. Did it change when you got to Columbus because you was away from all your family and friends, and then you just had to relearn things, and then you got the exposure to Upper Bound? Tell me a little bit about that period of time.
okay, so being from Ohio, it's more factory bound, meaning like you go to school, go to high school, graduate, and you work at GM or Delphi.
Yeah.
Very similar to a lot of those industrial cities in well back then those industrial cities in
Yeah.
Ohio. So I never really thought anything deep about college until I went. It was one summer, my seventh. I think it was my seventh grade summer, going into the eighth grade. All my friends that we grad, you know what I'm saying, like seventh grade had ended, and all my friends was like, "Hey, my mom put me in this program." I'm like,
Hmm.
"What program?" They was like, "It's called Upper Bound." I'm like,
Hmm.
"Oh, cool. I'm about to hop in the program too." So my mom went up there, and they said you couldn't be in the seventh grade going to the eighth. You had to be eighth growing to the ninth. So my
Ah.
mom, doing what mothers do, put put that I was going to the eighth grade. You know what I'm saying? Put a little fib in there and to get me in because all my friends, every single person that I was cool with, close proximity with,
Right.
was going to this program this summer at Central State for approximately like 6 to 8 weeks.
Oh,
So
wait. Hold on. I missed that part. Hold up. So the Upward Bound program wasn't in the city of Columbus. It was more so of college. The program was hosted on Central State's campus.
it was hosted at Central State campus, and this is the year because
Oh,
it's the year. It was the year before I moved to Columbus, right?
got it.
So the year before I moved to Columbus, my mom was like, "All right, cool. I work all day. You know how moms work: first shift,
Yeah,
second shift, and third." She was like, "I can't have you just in the summer ripping and running the city, and all your friends going
wow,
to this program. I'm gonna get you in by any means." She got me in.
right.
So she lied and said I was going to the eighth. She lied saying I was in the eighth going to the ninth,
Got
and
it.
I went to the program. And then I had people that was even in the program that went to my same middle school that knew that I wasn't supposed to be in it, but I mean was on the hush hush. You know what I'm saying? But when we went there, like it was at Central State campus, we had to take microwaves and food and
Really?
little mini refrigerators, kind of very similar to like going to college. We stayed in the dorms for like 6 to 8 weeks.
Ah,
We ate in the cafeteria with the
mhm.
college students that were there for the
Uh-huh.
summer programs. So we sitting there, and I'm like, so I'm just like, oh man, like first, of course, I'm in the seventh grade going to eighth grade, so my mind is just really on some very elementary level things. Like I'm happy to be here. There's some girls here.
Yep.
We play basketball. You know what I mean? We eat
Yeah.
food. I don't gotta listen to my mom. And but at the same time, Monday through Friday, from 9 a.m. to like almost 1 a.m. 1 p.m., we had classes. We had Spanish. We had math. So we were in at Central State campus taking classes in the same buildings that college students were taking classes.
Exposure,
And
your environment. I love it.
right,
Okay.
so it just was exposed. So then the end of that. So that was my first year. So at the end of that year, at the end of that summer program, after the 8 weeks was up,
Yes.
my mom came pick me up, and
You
she called me
cried. Did
quite,
you cry? Did you cry when you was leaving?
bruh. Listen, I didn't cry because I was leaving the program. I cried because listen, it ain't even cell phones. But I called my mom on the payphone like, "Hey mom, program about to be over in a week. You gonna pick me up, right?" She was like, "Yeah." She was like, "I'll be there." What time? So I gave her the time. She was like, "But I need to let you know something." I'm like, "What's up?" She was like, "We no longer live in Dayton anymore." I
Oh,
said, I was like,
that's how you found out. Stop it,
"Yeah,
bruh.
hey, that's how I found." So I'm like, like right now, I want to say I said come again, but I didn't because I wasn't that suave back then. So I'm like, hey, okay, sure. Like, yeah, I'm letting you know we're gonna stay in Dayton. When I come pick you up, we staying in Dayton for the night, but we going to Columbus.
Yeah.
And that's how it naturally happened. Like we came in, stayed that night, went to Dayton, and we stayed with one of her friends, which was she pretty much my godmom. We stayed
Yes.
with her probably for a month, and then we moved and got into our own place. But that's how I found out about me moving to Columbus was
Wow.
the best summer of my life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Girls, college, you know what I'm saying? Eating the cafeteria, playing basketball. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden the best summer is, oh, I no longer live in Dayton. So it started a very tumultuous time between me and my mom on the inception of us being in Columbus.
Really. You said something that was profound. I don't know if people caught that. And the reason why I want to say that is Ohio, like you said, it belongs to the Rust Belt. A lot of people don't understand that a lot of towns have been after the industrial age, because we're pretty much in the information age right now. After the industrial age, towns like Youngstown, Lima, Ohio, Toledo, those northeast type towns in northeast Ohio, pretty much where I'm from, that was our norm. And you called that out by saying those a lot of those blue collar jobs, we had to go to the factories, different things of that nature. And it goes back to what you said. I think our counselors in our high school, they were just trying to get us across the finish line. We ain't know nothing about college, man. It wasn't until I knew about three colleges, which was Kent State, Toledo, Akron. I knew about those three into those 3 to 4 colleges in Youngstown State. Those are my only 4 options. Those are where I put my applications in, and all of them said you got to pay. You know what I mean? And Central State, it wasn't until like the last moment, Myron and everybody was like, "I apply at Central State." I'm like, "Central? I don't know what that is." I put an app in, they gave me a full ride, man. I never forget my first experience was with Brother Marcus, man. That's the reason why I became my alpha because of him. That was my first exposure. Can't make this up, man.
Yeah, brother Marcus is so man. like I remember we had brother Marcus during the summer. It was another brother, I forget his name, man. It leaves me, man. He was a bro too.
Really?
Yeah, oh my goodness. Hargraves.
Oh yeah.
Hey, you know,
This,
it's a Colonel Hargraves, right?
and
So he
Barracker.
used to teach us in Upper Bound, right? So
Really?
yeah, like we had a couple of teachers that I don't know if they got paid over the summer to teach us whatever, but we had college professors teaching us. We
Yeah.
also had some other teachers that came in or whatever, but we was in classes with actual Central State professors for Upper Bound, which
Wow.
was I guess under the Clinton administration, um, was a very was well endowed at that time for those
Mhm.
federal programs. And I think when Bush
Right.
came in, a lot of that money kind of like froze up and
Yeah. It
wasn't
was.
as readily as it was during the Clinton administration. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the
Right.
crazy thing about the Clinton administration is the same administration that kind of signed the bill to get those industrial jobs to go to China, though.
Yup. Yup.
You know
Great
what I mean?
call out.
You know what I mean? Just like you said, Toledo, Lyman, Youngstown, Dayton, Ohio, even though that's south, you know what I'm saying, southwest, we
Yeah.
still was that was our mindset. Like you go to high school, graduate, then you get this job, getting paid $25 an hour straight out of high
Mhm.
school. That was
Yeah. I was
the
actually
college,
gonna.
you know
I
what I'm
was
saying?
actually
That
gonna
college
ask that too.
mindset. What's
Yeah. I
up,
was
bro?
actually gonna ask that. What was the culture like in the early well, not 90s, but the early like the late 90s for you as it relates to being in the Cincinnati, Dayton, Columbus area? How was the culture down there as it relates to just black and brown people? And again, this was before cell phones. I don't think people realize that. We're not that old, but cell
No.
phones wasn't for normal people like us. Only CEOs and people in mid-level manager roles and up had those type of privileges. But yeah, tell me a little bit about the culture during that time frame.
Man, the city, like from my very narrow view of the city, being an adolescent and not understanding the world at that time, I just all I knew was my family for real. But I knew a lot of my what I observe now in retrospect
Yeah.
is that my family, a lot of them did work in factories, working at Delphi, GM, and places like that. Um, a lot of like 9 to 5s, like nursing
Yeah.
home type,
Yeah.
like not registered nurses, but working like
I already know CPN, not
but like
CPNs.
working in nursing positions, the
Yeah.
multitude of nursing positions, and
Right.
then working those makeshift jobs of fast food,
Yup.
cook.
Hmm.
Like I remember like some of my people was working for the Olive Garden, and me thinking that was like top notch. Like I'm like, he worked for the, he'll cook at the Olive Garden. You know what I'm saying? Like thinking that was big time.
Yeah.
I'm like, you gotta wear, because that was back in the day when, when Red Lobster, Olive Garden, you had to dress up to go there.
Yeah. Right.
Nowadays, you can walk in there with some sweats and flip flops. But back in the day, you
Yeah.
went to the Olive Garden out of straight out of church. You know what
Yup.
I'm saying? You had your Sunday's best on,
Hmm.
and you go to Red Lobster with your Sunday's best on. You know what I mean? So when some of my family members used to be a cook at the Olive Garden or a cook at the Red Lobster, I'm
Right.
thinking at it like they made it. I'm like, you work at Red Lobster. Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
You feel me?
Absolutely. Great call out. Great call out. I know I interjected during your introduction there, but one portion Cordell probably didn't mention, or I stopped him from mentioning, is that he teaches.
Oh yeah.
And not only does he teach, he served as a counselor, different things of that nature. But what I'm bringing is, and one thing I'm not beating on Ohio. I think this is in any community, especially black and brown communities. You are a product of your environment. But what I'm getting to now is you had that exposure from college bound. Here you are about to graduate. You in Columbus. You what's up? Like what's going through your mind? Like what's next? What's the next chapter looking like? Like
You
what
talking
was
about
you
when I
thinking?
you talking about from high school?
Yeah, from high school. What you
Oh,
thinking about next?
high school, it was a done deal. I had been at Upper Bound every single summer from seventh grade all the way up until high school. So
Oh wow.
so I was there every single summer. It was a foregone conclusion I was going to Central State University. It was
Got it.
I already knew the campus, like you know what I mean. I knew campus life. I knew people on campus. I knew professors. I knew teachers. It was just like it was a no brainer. I did apply to other schools that Upper Bound took me on college tours to visit,
Yeah.
just because I knew that I should apply to more schools, but I knew I was going to Central State. You know what
You
I mean? Like
already know it now.
it
Nice,
was like
nice.
it was no doubt in my mind that I was going there. You know what I
Hey,
mean? Like
man.
everything else was just a formality.
Yeah, man, I'll say this. I knew when I went to Central State my first year, and with Teddy, shout out to Theodore and his sister Doreen. She ended up going to O State, and a lot of people went to O State, but I ain't had them type of connections or relationships with them to visit. Man, listen, I thought O State was the utopia of colleges, man. When I went on there and been in that area, I was like, man, I should have been here. Yeah, but as I matriculated through Central State, it was the best move ever. And I kind of want to ask you, like, as you matriculating through college, you're coming across different people. You are well spoken. If y'all can't tell, man, Cordell is well spoken, man, and he reads a lot. He's a mathematician by trade. I think your major was what? Mathematics, right?
Mathematics. Yep.
Yeah, he's a
Banneker.
mathematician by.
Banneker Hall.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what I'm getting to is, as you matriculate through college, touch on the importance of networking and different things of that nature as you went through college and you established different relationships. Because at one point, I think you was running, I want to say, the kitchen entertainment, that company, that business, that brand was something behind you, Link, and I want to say Dame, and there was other people that was a part of it. But I know the brand, when you mentioned the kitchen entertainment or kitchen radio, you thought about Carl's and different things of that nature. But tell me a little bit about networking, how you ran into individuals, how you started different things. Where did you get the entrepreneur mindset at?
So when I first touched down at Central State University, I did a bridge program. I think very similar to what I was saying. Bush, I think, disfunded some of the trio programs, and the Upper Brown program. My bridge year, the year that I was supposed to transition to college, they were supposed to pay for like my first quarter of college.
Yeah.
They got defunded.
Oh,
So I had to
wow.
join another program my senior year transition into my freshman year, which was
Okay.
called just the senior bridge program.
Hmm.
And I didn't get any credit for it, but I was able to come to Central the summer before my freshman year.
Got it.
So met a lot of individuals, and then that transitioned into me being there my freshman year. My freshman year, I was a tutor. I was a math tutor my freshman year
Hmm.
through uh, um, Mrs. Johnson, who was my academic advisor at the time. You remember Miss Johnson?
Shout out to Miss Johnson.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, Miss
Absolutely.
Johnson. She was my math advisor, and she told me I was telling her, like, I was like, man, I'm low on funds. I was like, I'm covering the surface of my essentials for being here, but I don't got no capital here. And she
Right.
was like, oh, you could be a tutor. So she signed me up to a program to be a tutor, and luckily I was able to do it my freshman year, which isn't usually the norm. Not saying
It's
I'm the only
not.
one that did it, but
It's
I
not.
was one. I was one to I tested out a lot of my math classes, which would allow me to do it, right?
Uh,
And
Absolutely.
and then I met a gentleman named Dwight that went to Central. I forget his last name, but he made me part of the judicial. He was over the judicial board at Central as a student, and he put me on as a person on his committee.
Really?
So
Hold on. The white with the glasses, the
yeah,
fly
yeah,
dude, he was
yeah, yeah,
fly, man.
yeah,
That cat
yeah,
could
yeah, yeah,
dress.
yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
hey, shout out to Dayton cats, man. Them cats, they take dressing serious, man. In Youngstown, well, I don't want to say that about everybody. In Youngstown, we really ain't take people just say me, Teddy, and everybody else couldn't dress.
Me,
Hey, hey, we ain't gonna go there though. We ain't gonna go there, but shout out to the
hey,
white, man. That dude could
hey,
dress, man. Y'all
but
cats
yeah,
could
but
dress.
Dwight, yeah, I think because Dwight came in y'all year, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Dwight was my year, my freshman year, because I came after y'all, was over the judicial board, and he made me part of his board where when students did any type of infraction of, what I'm saying, anything, we was on the board to say if they got suspended or if they had to do community service. So
Ah,
he was looking for
yeah.
people, and I think he was also a student ambassador. And he was like, "Hey, do you want to be part of the board?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't care." Didn't think nothing of it. And I remember I'm sitting on meetings with students who had certain types of infractions, and we had to vote on what was their reprimand for doing those infractions, and it just opened up my eyes to a different avenue of just engagement as a student. Because at
Mm,
first I'm thinking I'm about to come here, go to school, take these classes, be with these females, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Eat this food, you know what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying? And just be and then more importantly, not be under the roof of my mother. I mean, that was pretty
Yeah.
much when I went to college, was like, I'm no longer under the iron fist of my mother. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that was all I could think about. So my vision of the world and my vision of future was only probably like very, very, you know what I'm saying, not deep at all. Like I didn't really have a vision of anything. I just knew I wanted to
Ah,
be involved, and I just knew that I just wanted to I wanted to be involved, and I knew that I just didn't want to be at home. So I had to be successful in school, so I had to go back home.
absolutely. Great call out. Great call out. And I kind of want to go back and revisit something here. Dwight saw you on campus as a freshman, just as long as Miss Johnson, just as well as Miss Johnson as well. They see this, they see this guy, they see this kid who is courageous. He's coming into himself. Like, look, man, this guy ain't scared of nothing. Those leadership roles. He's being humble right now, but I'll say this: at some point, Cordell, I joined the same fraternity as Cordell. And shout out to the Bruhs, Delta Z, infamous Delta Z chapter, A5A. But being in those leadership roles, people see certain things about you because at one point you was the president of Central State, not Central State University, excuse me, but the chapter of Delta Z. He was the president. You served as the president. I want to say two. Did you do it 2 years or just one? But
I
I know
just
you
did it
had
once.
several roles, right? What other role did you have outside of being the president? Was it the treasurer?
My first year, I created a role for myself because I lost treasurer to my
Sergeant of Arms.
nah. I created a role called the off-campus event coordinator, where
Oh, I
I
remember
dealt
that.
with because like you said, me and Link was already doing events off campus. So what my contribution was like, man, since we already doing this thing off campus, let's incorporate the fraternity and throwing off campus events versus just on campus. And
Yeah.
then I was also, and of course, I wanted a role, and I didn't earn a role for a number of reasons. But I created my first role, and then later on, I became treasurer. I became uh, other roles that I don't want to go into, and then I
Right,
became
right,
president. You know what
right,
I'm
right,
saying?
right. But the reason why I like to bring it up is because outside of like who you are, it's core characteristics that you really see in people who have leadership roles. So, for example, I'll start off with Dan, then with Dave Martin, and then it was you, then it was Ralph Carter in those roles as it relates to being entrepreneur. What made you say we're gonna blaze a different path? We're gonna do things different because what people don't know at Central State University, the alphas, let's say we reigned supreme for a while in every area, no matter if it was community service, we was always financial, we always had people who wanted to be involved. Our name was in every single thing. And it was a big reason why I wanted to join the fraternity. But as it relates to leadership, where did you see that from? Like, did you see a music video or something? Because that's back when 106 and Park was hot. What happened? What
All right,
what
I'm
got
gonna
the
touch
wheel
on.
turning?
All right, yeah, because I like to touch on the fraternity part before I go into like the kitchen entertainment part.
Okay.
But on the fraternity part, it was just because they kind of like my role with the fraternity as a member, and then my role with the kitchen entertainment or Hell's Kitchen, it kind of is intertwined because the inception was kind of at the same exact time.
Got it.
But being in the frat though, um, what I always strive to be is a student first.
Hmm.
So like you said, those individuals like Dan and Kurt Hawkins and
Ooh, I forgot
Will
Kurt. My bad,
Murray,
Kurt. My bad,
Will
Will.
Murray,
Hmm.
Chris Bond. So we got certain types of individuals where, like, even without them even teaching you, like like verbatim what they're
Yeah.
doing, sometimes close proximity has this special part of where you could just be an observer. You just observe some individual and learn so much.
The
And the
proximity
beautiful thing
principle.
about being
Hmm.
observant is, without somebody teaching you verbatim, is I can take all the greatest qualities of an individual and disregard the qualities that are less desirable.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when we were doing, like, so as I was watching individuals, maneuver in the fraternity, and I just watched them. It wasn't
Got
like they
it.
was teaching me anything. Like the DJ, this how you do this, or this
Yeah,
how you do
yeah.
that. I just watched how they operated, how they dealt with adversity, and
Uh-huh.
what did they do when they faced adversity, and then what did they do when in times of triumph, right?
Right.
Like, did they push it? Like when in the times where we're winning, are they pushing it to the
Yeah.
max still?
Uh-huh.
When we dealing with adversity, are they pointing the fingers?
Right.
And I learned those things.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
so
you guys ran the chapter like a business. You know what I mean? It was just one of those things where, I mean, man, you guys ran the chapter like a legit business. You know what I mean? I'm not sure where those norms came from and where those values was established from, but it was passed down through each president and different people who are in different roles. But I want to say, I don't want to say you grew into the role because you were already polished. At what point did you, mind you, I'm getting to that kitchen entertainment piece because I want to bring that up. That's legendary. Like, people don't understand like how you guys turned something like that into a legit business, and then you scaled it off campus. One thing he pointed out was he was the off campus event coordinator. He scaled that to off campus events, and then not only that, it actually turned into something bigger within the Dayton region overall. No matter if they was doing, events in Columbus and Cincinnati, the Delta Z brand was everywhere. Not only that, a big portion was on, Cordell actually scaling that. But Cordell, the proximity principle, man. I can't think of the name of the book, but I actually have it in there on my bookshelf here. That's mission critical. Like, the people that you're around, they rub off on you. No matter if it's good traits or bad traits, those
mhm.
type of things happen. Now, as you begin to see this, look, man, stop holding back, man. Let me know how the kitchen entertainment came up, man. The legendary out. Look, I graduated at that point. I graduated in 2007, and I was in California, but I used to hear so many great things, different things of that nature as it relates to event planning, and then you guys just being in the community doing amazing things as well.
What I can say is this though: the inception of the kitchen entertainment. I wasn't part of the inception, so that's a conversation that you have to have with like Link and Boots,
Uh
and
huh.
it was another roommate that they had where they started that out in Fairborn, Ohio. Man, just a couple cats from Cleveland, really trying to find their way. They also attended Central State and had a passion for music and
Yeah.
wanted to make music about they city and how and then what the things and telling their story, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And what happened just naturally as they were doing that, with us being at Central State and it being a university with a melting pot of a lot of characters from all over the Midwest.
Yeah.
You got certain people like
Hold
Lamar
on, hold
from
on. Say that for the people in the back again, man, because they don't understand about Central State and the diversity of, mind you, it's a HBCU. That's one thing we did not point out. So it's a historically black college university. So it's black people from all over. But go ahead.
but
Tell
yeah,
everybody about that.
but so it's a melting pot. So of course you got people from Dayton, Ohio, you got people from Toledo, you got people from Youngstown, you got people from Columbus, Ohio, you got people from Detroit, Chicago,
Yeah,
Cleveland. You got people from all over the Midwest because there's only two HBCUs in the Midwest, which is Wilberforce and Central State University, which are across the street from each other, which we can actually walk across the street and go to either one of the schools, right?
absolutely. Yep. Hmm.
So the beautiful thing about that is you got some brothers from Cleveland that scrape some bread together, refund checks or whatever the case may be to get some equipment, make some
Shout
food,
out.
some mics.
Hey, shout out to the refund checks. Yeah, shout out to about the refund checks.
You know what I'm saying? Like they scraped that stuff up and it was making music and it was making noise. And I remember just being a sophomore and listening to some of the music. And I'm like, man, this music's so dope. I
Yep.
want to like at the time I wasn't not a musician by any means, but I was like, I just want to be a part because I love the sound of the music.
Yeah,
Like
the P Diddy
Link,
came out of you. The Puff Daddy came out of you. You like, ooh, I got. You had an eye for it, and you had an ear for it as well. You just knew.
yeah, I didn't know when I met Lincoln, when I met Boots and all them, I
Yeah,
didn't know what role I was gonna have. I just wanted to be involved.
yeah,
I saw something that the campus was gravitating towards, and I knew that I wanted to be a part of it in some shape or fashion.
yep.
So when I got involved, I used to just go over there to kick it, going
Mhm.
over there doing what you do when you kick it, you know. And so after a while, I was remember going back to the close proximity thing. Like in
Yep.
close proximity, they were making music and they start asking my opinion,
Yeah.
and I start giving and gratefully so that they was even asking of it, because they could have
Yep.
just been doing what they wanted to do without saying anything at all, but they
Right.
wanted the feedback because they were still so in their infancy of making music. They was like, how does that sound?
Uh-huh.
What is this? How does hook sound? What
Right.
about this verse? And I remember on the onslaught of it, like in the beginning of it, I wouldn't say nothing because I thought that I'm like, y'all the experts. I ain't.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and what they did was they did something special, which they made me feel comfortable of being there. It was like, no, 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 no. None of us is experts. What do you think? Is it a good
Yeah.
vibe? What's
Yeah.
is how is the cadence? What about the
Mhm.
lyrics? And then I start giving my feedback, and over time, like in a short span, they start incorporating the things I was saying, like, oh, I'm gonna
Yeah.
take this out and do this. And
Yeah.
so I was kind of what you would consider A&R in a little bit,
Yeah. All
or
that.
producing
Mhm.
in some way, shape, or fashion, which I didn't know that's what I was doing until, you know what I'm saying, later on. But I start like telling people like, hey, this is how a hook should go.
Right.
And this you should add these type of things. Like this sounds
Right.
good. And eventually became a part of the group, in a sense where I wasn't a rapper, I wasn't a singer, but I was an intricate part of it. And then I my contribution was a little bit of like, man, y'all so hot. I'm like, y'all so hot. Why y'all not like why nobody know enough? Like,
Yeah.
so I didn't bring kitchen entertainment to a large scale but I did bring up the idea like, hey, we should be marketing ourselves with t-shirts.
Yep.
Like, let's get some t-shirts.
Yep.
Like, let's just get some kitchen entertainment t-shirts. Like
Mhm.
I don't even know what I'm doing, but
Mhm.
I think we should at least just do that. I got to connect on some t-shirts. Let's get
Yeah.
some kitchen t-shirts, and we started there. But at the same time, that also caused the rift a little bit between members, because some members took it as like, oh, he's assistant, and some people took at it as, we already got this going on. What is he doing?
Right.
And
Right.
that's when they
Totally
kind
makes
of
sense.
broke. That's when it broke from Hell's Kitchen to strictly the Kitchen Entertainment. Because when
Oh,
I got
see,
there,
I ain't know that. I ain't know that
yeah,
part. You done gave a little
yeah,
history. Okay.
yeah, it was Hell's Kitchen Entertainment before I got there. But then when I came in, we just became we took the negative connotation of Hell off and just became the Kitchen Entertainment. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the reason why, I'm poking the bear about that, y'all, is because if you notice, anything this man touch, he's bringing value. And what y'all got to understand is, as y'all matriculate through life, you have to bring value in any group or any kind of dynamics. If you notice, he said, look, I was in a position where I was just there and I wanted to be involved. But now that I'm here, hey, they see the expertise or they see something in Cordell again that actually let people know that he's bringing value to the table. But the reason why I want to go there is because I want to go to this next topic, the proximity principle. All right, everybody that come around you, great. All right, let's be real. We're gonna be honest. I don't want you to be humble, man. But low means or unpretending manner. Don't do that today. Don't do that right now. But I have this thing that I do with my son, and well, matter of fact, with both of them, I have how what they say expectations. I expect what greatness, and that's something that you actually, carry. That's just in your DNA. As you come around people or be around people, you actually have a standard of excellence on how you actually operate. Now, after you finish college, you work several jobs and different things of that nature. We're not going to touch on the relationship with Myron. Shout out to Mr. McNair. I don't know if y'all remember that interview I did with Dr. Mike McNair, which is his son Myron. Remember, he said he went to HBCU. He was great friends with Cordell here. So him being around Cordell, that's actually how I kind of got involved. Theodore as well was on that line as well. So that's kind of how I met Cordell. But the reason why I'm saying that is because when I graduated, I did several things. However, Cordell stayed grounded. Him being in different, let's say, going back to those blue collar jobs, it was something called teleperformance. Him going in there quickly, people recognizing the talent, how well he communicate, how he can manage people, different things of that nature. He worked his way up into a managerial role immediately, about 3 months or less. I can't make this stuff up. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because the value and the excellence of how he operates, it's not a wasted movement. And it brings me full circle because I moved to Wisconsin. When I moved to Wisconsin, your man's was out of work, so I'm like, man, my skill set didn't transfer over there. This knows like the coolers, restaurant, different things of that nature. I'm in Menominee Falls thinking like, man, what I'm gonna do next? I get a call. I got a call from this guy. He like, hey, Reese, I got something for you. Um, I think us just being preemptive, we start something new. We start a computer science program in the engineering. Well, the engineering program was already in place. Going back to his mathematics background, he was actually teaching mathematics and teaching engineering as well. So he reached out to me and said, hey, I got this gig for you. So this is where I want to ask you, what made somebody like myself come to mind, or what was it that said, you know what, I think Reese would be a good fit? Or was it more so of you like, let me see somebody in my network? What was it? What happened to say, let me prompt Maurice? And I ain't trying to brag or nothing. I just want to, let you know that you paid a big
Nah,
portion in me ascending to the next level.
no. What happened was when I got the position, man, I got the position by very humble means myself.
Got
And
it.
I'm always. I remember watching this movie called Pay It Forward, right? As a
Mm.
like, you know what I'm saying? Dope
Uh-huh.
movie, right? And I always loved like the theme of the movie always resonated with me about like, man, when somebody do good deeds for you, man, you should pay it forward. You make it because it ain't always about paying that person back, right? Because it's like, what can you give to a person that already got it, right? But what
Yeah.
you can do is give it to somebody who don't.
Yeah.
And at that time, I got blessed with the position. When I first got there, I was brought on as a pull-out teacher, but became a counselor, and also I was the engineering teacher.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do both, right? I could have done both, but I wouldn't been giving I wouldn't been giving my best doing both. So I had to give one of them up, and I had that option. The option was like give up counseling full time and just focus on engineering, or give up the engineering course and focus. You know what I mean? It was either
Yeah.
or.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately I went into my networking pool due to the fact that I knew it was brothers like me that was working in jobs, still being in Ohio, in that same area where we just graduated from, stuck, didn't really have a plan when we graduated.
Yeah. No plan.
We didn't really have no plan. We just knew that we wanted to graduate it. I
Yep.
mean, we wanted to graduate, and I thought about it was actually I thought about you and Juju. You know what I'm saying?
Jew. Shout out to
You know what
Jew.
I'm saying? So I thought about you and Jew, and I reached out to you and Jew, and I
Jew
reached out.
Jackson. Jew Jackson. We got two Jews. If you
Oh
guys
yeah,
are
yeah,
new.
yeah, we do. Julius Jackson. So I reached out to Julius Jackson, told him, I'm like, hey man, you want to come out here? He was like, to be honest, I'm doing okay. He was like, I'm doing very well for myself, and got a family here, bought a house, well established. I'm good. But I reached to both of you all at the same time, and remember you declined on the first time I reached out. You was like, I'm good. I ain't no teacher. I'm about to out here and get it. I got this going on. I was like, all right, cool. So at the time, I'm like, dang, I got to teach engineering next year.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't remember if it was me reaching out to you or you reaching out to me. I remember it was probably like in the wee hour of like the summer. It was like that
Yeah.
summer where it
Yeah.
was like, I think it was like June,
Yep.
where the administration asked me, like, hey, did you find someone? Or
Yeah.
if not, like, you may have to teach this thing again, because we got the funds to pay somebody a full salary for it. But if not, we're not about to pay you anymore, but you still got to do the job. I'm like, oh.
Right. Right.
So it was muted. Like, so I reached back out to you, and I think you said give me I think you said give me 48 hours.
Mm-hmm.
You said give me 48 hours. You called me back in 48 hours, and you was like, I'm down. And then I think like 2 weeks later, I think like a week later, 2 weeks later, you just came down on a whim. I remember I think you were staying with like your aunt or something. You know what I'm
Yeah, man.
saying?
I was staying in what is it, Maypole or something like that?
Yeah, I forgot where it was because I ain't from
May
here either.
it's something with an M, man. I was staying far, y'all. Oh my God.
And I
And the one
remember
part
I remember I pulled up. You was like living in some attic. I'm like,
I was, hey
I'm
y'all,
like,
I was trapping. I was getting it. Like people don't understand, man.
I
I was
said,
getting it.
hey, I'm like, you staying here? He's like, yeah, me and Little Reese. I'm like, no, bro,
Yeah.
you cannot stay here. You was like, bro, you was like, nah, I don't want to be a burden. I know you got your family down here. I'm like,
Yeah.
forget my family. You can't live in this attic with your son. I'm like, y'all don't
Yeah.
even got suitcases. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Y'all black, you know what I'm saying? Y'all black trash bag living, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
we
you
was
was like,
bad.
and you was like, but you was so like focused, like it don't matter. You was looking at me like none of that matters. I got a spot to stay, and then I brought you over to my house, and I was like, bro, you can stay here.
To the
And you was like, all right,
mansion.
cool. And you was like, all right,
Say it.
cool.
Hold
So
on,
we
you gotta say it, man. Hold on. I'm gonna cut them off to the mansion. Y'all just don't understand how this thing is. Woo-wee! Hey, you know what? I digress. Go ahead, man.
but yeah, I brought you to the house and was like, man, we got way more than enough room. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
got more than enough room for you to stay here, man, especially with little Reese. And get on your feet, man, and
Yeah, I was at a dark place in
because
my life, man. And I don't know if you
yeah,
knew, I don't know if you knew that, but right before I took that position, Myron was like, "Hey, man, Myron being in the managerial role at UPS, Myron was working what 3 or 4 jobs at the time. He was working at UPS, he was working at Maryland and all these other places, man. But long story short, got me in. I do training for like 3 days. Man, that fourth day they put me out there lifting these packages.
my
My
Scully.
Scullies? Oh my God. I was like, oh, I said, I can't do this. So mind you, Myron already had gassed me and told me if I stay in this position for about 3 months, maybe 6, then I could work my way into the IT department. It wasn't no way, man. Physically, I wasn't gonna be able to do it. So then that's when I'm like, DJ, hey, I need to make that move. And you was just like, yeah, a couple things going on. I need you to come down for this PD, get you ready. And one thing, you ain't throw out Brooks, man. So shout out to Terrence Brooks as well.
Oh, man.
Brooks, you and Brooks played. You guys was mission critical as I pivot in life and became a teacher. I don't know if you remember. I kept saying, I'm like, man, I'm gonna do this for a year, man. After that, I'm in Chicago. Like I promise you, I'm about to do my IT consulting firm. You like, yeah, all right. You just looked at it like, yeah, all right.
I like because like I mean as teachers we get the bad rep of the pay, right? Like, oh, we get low pay, which is I don't think it's low pay in a sense of the profession. I think it's low pay for what we have to do, which can be the same, but it is the conversation is a little bit different, right?
Yeah,
But I just didn't think you didn't understand like the the
the
load, right?
lifestyle. Yeah,
The
it was.
lifestyle, the load, all the breaks that we get. We get Christmas break,
Hey,
we get Thanksgiving
man.
break, summer breaks. You know what I'm saying?
Look,
So
that's the salary was so love, y'all. And we only worked 9 months out the year. Then there
yeah,
was so many built-in breaks. We get a fall break. So right after fall break, we have like 2 big events, and then right after that, you and Christmas. You don't come back for like another 3.5 weeks. Then you come back from there. You got spring
spring break.
break. That's like 2.5 weeks for there. Then by the time May come around, school over. It was like what? And then you get paid throughout the summer. So now you can go do your other things. So I ain't see his vision. And the reason why I mention that and the reason why I bring it up is because Cordell is always in a position to make sure that he's bringing value to other individuals, and it's something that rubbed off on me. So as I matriculated through life, I made sure that I was always. I want to say this. I was not the brightest crayon in the box. Um, Being on that learning curve of being a teacher, yeah, I can teach computer science and engineering because of my background. However, I wasn't ready for the culture of Southside Chicago. So him and Brooks used to always come check on me, and it was always coming from a place of love and making sure that I was good. As you can see in his story, he opened his house to me and Maurice, and we get over there, and I did something totally out of God's will, man. Y'all, I moved out the crib, and not only did I move out the crib, I moved into a 4 bedroom something, which was I thought it was a genius move at the time, man. But let's just say that I was supposed to follow God's will, and then that whole thing ended up backfiring. And not only that, 4.5 years later, he like, you can move back. He opened the door back for me. But coming from a place of just bringing value and just being in the same fraternity, as you can see, he always had the norms or just the know-how. Well, let me ask you this, man, because I don't want to answer for you. Being the only child, you don't got the only child syndrome, man. You always looking out for people. I know it sounds crazy. You don't got the only child syndrome, but maybe
It,
you did. Do you still have it?
I do. It's it like the only my selfishness comes in like the like the pettiness of like food. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to share my food. I don't want to, you know what I mean? Like, share certain things of value that may not have value to others. But on a whole, like as a the only another remnants of only child syndrome is the wanting to belong, right? The
Right.
wanting of brothers. It's the reason why
Right.
I joined the fraternity, right?
Ah,
Um,
okay.
so I always wanted to I always wanted to be an asset, like, and I also wanted to, and also I wanted to be an asset to others, and also a person that you can look to for I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but I always wanted to be in a position where if something came up, you thought of me.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
also, but also if I was ever in that position to think of someone, I wanted to be able to pull my brother up.
Absolutely.
Um,
Great call out. Great call out. And I think you excel in all those positions. And here's when I say all these positions as it relates to the multiple hats. If y'all notice, he served as a mentor, he served as a coach, he served as an advisor, he wear all these different hats. And the reason why I'm getting there is because he was like the first person that I saw go vegan. This is before it got popular. So Cordell goes vegan. And mind you, he's already a sharp person. But I noticed like things was different. Like my guy started, I'm talking about the fat just melt off him. He wasn't a big person, you get what I'm saying? But at that time, you gotta think I'm still trying to figure out what works best for me. I think at that point I was doing Herbalife. Shout out to Herbalife representative. Hey, I ain't knocking y'all, but the
Shout
man
out to
just started.
Herbalife.
I was doing that Herbalife real hard, and I started seeing some results here and there, but I knew I couldn't do that. I was starving myself. So you came to me like, look, man, I need you to try this, this, and this. I'm like, yeah, all right. So long story short, shout out to Miss Williams. Miss Williams showed me how to exercise different things of nature because I can't do all exercise because of my back. You know what I mean? My scoliosis. But the reason why I mentioned that, he said it earlier around food. You don't share food, different things of that nature. But he was the first person that I saw go vegan, and the clarity that you have, different things of that nature. And I was just a part-time vegetarian at that time, and I started making that transition. And the part that I mentioned is when I moved back to his house, being in that proximity of Cordell and learning how to eat right, it changed my lifestyle. It changed everything again. You get what I'm saying? It's not him just this is not him telling me do this different things of that nature. It's going back to that proximity principle that you mentioned. But I want to ask you what made you venture into the vegan role? Like what happened? Like was it more so of you like, man, I'm starting to get a gut, or you know what, I can't move like I want to, like, because another thing he ain't say nothing about was his basketball skills. The guy got game, and you know I used to take him on the court, and the little young kids used to take him on the court. I'm like, you ain't moving like that, man. But tell me a little bit about that.
So what made me want vegan was a multitude of reasoning, right? Like the first thing was like when I first moved out here, I moved out with my lady who was sick at the time, and she was battling cancer. And around that time, like we fought the battle out here. We fought the battle for approximately 5 years total. But when we came out here, we fought the battle for approximately like 2.5 years out here, where we lost that battle. And then what I did was like, what happened was we was following doctors' advice the whole time, right? We were seeing the whole holistic approach, but kind of disregarding it, because when we brought the holistic approach to those doctors, those doctors was kind of like no, we, man, you could do that. You could do that, but you taking a big risk because we don't have any research to say that this anything works, right?
Right.
So we listened to them, and we kept letting them do the chemo, and she didn't make it, right? So I had to go through that whole ordeal of battling just that. Not saying like I was battling the food thing, but just battling that. So then when I came out of it, I was like, I want to do something in to commemorate her.
Mm-hmm.
And I started doing the research on food about healing. I found Dr. Sebi and other different holistic ways of eating, and I found his nutritional list. And I was like, I'm just going to, just in homage to her, I'm going to do it for 30 days. And in 30 days, I did it, and I did it to the fullest. I did it by the letter, And like you said, I was a little bit larger at the time. I was almost pushing 200 pounds, about 6'1", almost pushing 200 pounds, which isn't bad, but I wasn't fit, so it didn't look good.
Yeah, the
I wasn't
fit.
carrying it right. I wasn't carrying it right. I was a skinny fat dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I had hips. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hey, childbearing hips, boy.
I had breasts. I had breasts and childbearing hips. It wasn't the look. You know what I'm saying? So, man, listen. In those 30 days, I was about like 198, 200 pounds, man. The first 30 days, I lost 20 pounds. For 30 days, I lost 20 pounds by just eating fruits, vegetables, nuts, and grains, and drinking just water. No alcohol, no smoking, no nothing. Just strictly on the diet. No sugar, nothing. No candy, no outside food. 20 pounds. And I wasn't even, no workout. No workout at all.
Yeah, yeah. And you gotta throw
20
that out there
pounds. So
again.
I'm
No,
down,
no
I'm down to
workout.
180. So I'm in the mirror, like, you know what I'm saying? So then I was like, hey, I don't want to end it. Like, cause I was like, I know when I end it, I'm going to incorporate things. So I was like, I'm going to do an extension. I added another 15 days. And then 15 days, I lost another 10 pounds. So I lost 30 pounds in 45 days. Just all on Dr. Sebi's diet by just following his nutritional guide. I didn't buy none of his products. You know, shout out to the whole family. But I didn't buy no products. I just followed the list and lost 30 pounds in 45 days. Wow. So, man, so then I'm like, I had to buy a new wardrobe. I
remember that, man. You was getting everything.
Yeah, remember I was shopping. Remember,
everything.
I'm frugal. I was shopping. My clothes wasn't fitting right. I had to get some of my favorite shirts tailored a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and
I remember that.
But in those 45 days, man, I was able to go to sleep without that. I was able to go to sleep without the feeling of, I could go to sleep on a dime. Meaning I didn't have that sluggish, like idle feeling of like, oh, I can't go to sleep. Anytime, and then when I woke up, I was in the moment. Soon when I woke up, it wasn't ever that sluggish, I don't want to get up type of experience. By this time, I had met my current lady now, and just to know that my operation downstairs was working at an optimum level. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
Hey, you gotta talk about those benefits. You gotta talk about those benefits.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like that, my mechanics was working at a very optimal level. You know,
you was performing at a high level, bro. You said you was performing at a high level.
I was performing at a very high level. You know what I mean? And then the divinity of it, right? Like I realized that perception of me was totally different. Like very similar to you, people was looking at me. It was like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Because I wasn't like walking around advertising. Anytime somebody walked up to you, guess what I'm doing? Yeah. I wasn't really like broadcasting, but the energy and my experience was broadcasting it from just like my internal aura was where people were walking up to me saying, you look different, you look great, what are you doing? And I was sharing that experience, and and the crazy thing, the funniest thing about that time is a lot of individuals at that time was like, man, that's great, you strong, I can never do it. So most of those same individuals now are like vegetarian now, vegan now, saying that they could never ever do it.
Yeah.
Some of these individuals are now fasting, doing water fast.
Yeah.
A vegetarian, pescatarian, gave up red meat, gave up pork. Yeah. But when I was doing it, it was like they cannot do it. And I'm not saying it was necessarily me, but sometimes.
No. Whoa. I'm gonna stop you right there. I'm gonna interject right there, man. Of a low means and unpretending manner. Like, bro, this ain't the time to be humble. You gotta showcase your greatness in anything you touch. Like you said, your positive energy, your good vibrations, your aura, whatever people call it. You know, yeah, you're giving it to the Most High, you're giving it to God. But at the same time, bro, people have to understand the opportunity that you will give them, or as it relates to food information, as it relates to career advice, you know, those different hats that you wear. But the food itself, as it relates to diet, I think people use the word diet for at least in the black and brown communities here in the States. We look at the word diet as just, I'm going to go on a diet, and they correlate that to weight. Diet in itself is more so of your lifestyle. Like, what are you incorporating in your body on a regular, different things that nature? Because you touched on it. It helps with your sharpness. Like, it helps with your the way you move, your joints and different things that nature. Because the older you get, the more you realize, like, I gotta take care of this health. And then at the end, if you all the way at the end and you already ready to retire, you ready to kick it, but your health is bad, health is wealth. Like, now what? I digress. Point is, that diet. What do you say to people who refer to diet as as more of a weight regimen, but more so of it sounds like it took 45 days for that vegan lifestyle, for it to become a lifestyle? Or do you think it happened at that 21-day mark and you just was like, I'm just dead fast about it? Tell me a little bit about
Nah,
that.
bruh, it was so hard. Like I don't want it to make it seem like it was Disney World and bubbles. Like
you was eating that
after
Harold's chicken?
hey, after 45 days, I think on day 47, I was in the garage. Like I didn't want my lady to know I'm in the garage eating Harold's, cleaning bones. I went back. Bruh. I went back heavy though. I was like,
Really?
I'm not. But I only did that for like when I transitioned out of the 45 days exclusive, I transitioned just only eating meat on the week, only eating meat on the weekends. I would
Got it.
go buy it, and then what got me to get off of meat on a all together
Yeah.
was my lady was like, "Hey, you never had Portillo's in Chicago?" I'm like, "Portillo's? You know what I mean?" She's like, "It's a staple." So we some Ohio boys. I'm like, whatever. So
Right.
so we go to Portillo's. The line is all across. I'm talking about on a Saturday, probably around like 2 o'clock. The restaurant inside is full, and
Right.
the line for for they takeout or they, you know what I'm saying, for delivery, not delivery but takeout is out the door, right? It's kind of like it's crazy. So I'm like, oh wow. So the guy went up there. There's like, you want the Italian? She's like, you need to get the Italian beef. I'm like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
Italian beef. She's like,
Mm-hmm.
there's like, you want yours dipped? I'm like, yeah, dip that, yeah, dip that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I just felt the same way.
Hey, I'm like, shit, dip that. And I was like, if I could get it dip me down. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Pause. But
Right.
but so I'm eating the joint, and I got the works, got the cheese on it, all of it, and it's phenomenal. I'm eating it. It come down to the last bite. So since I got my dip, mine's is kind of like the bread is kind of soggy at
Oh,
this point,
yeah.
and I'm
People
trying
don't
to
know
get
what
the
that
last
means.
of
You
it.
gotta go back and tell them. Explain that real quick before you transition out. Like,
Oh,
explain a Portillo's experience, or specifically as it relates to being dipped.
so I guess like it's this broth type of juice and people in Chicago know better than I because we some Ohio boys.
Right.
So
Shout out to Maurice Correct with the Ohio Boys documentary.
so we took so they take the sandwich, and instead of putting the same meat that the juice is sitting in,
Yeah.
they could take some of that juice and just put it on there to give it that, you know what I'm saying, a lather.
Yeah. So
but
so
but
so it's
but you
not
can take that whole
soft.
sandwich and
Yeah.
dip it in there.
Yeah. So it's not soft, and it's not, the bread is not as hard no more. It's kind of like a
Right.
sub hoagie,
Yeah.
but it's, oh my God. Like, it's, hey man, it changed your life.
So they dipped it. So at the time, it still got you got the experience of the sauce, but the bread's still firm. But I'm
Yep.
eating a sandwich, and I got a full sandwich. I forgot what inches I got, but it wasn't like
Yeah.
no half boy. It was a whole one.
Yeah.
But by the time I'm eating it, the bread has got soggy on the
Yep.
end, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm trying to eat. Like, I'm having a phenomenal time. We having a good time, and I'm about to eat the last part. I bite into it, but did some miscalculation and bit my lip all the way through and through.
Oh wow.
Like,
I
bit
didn't
my
know
lip
that.
all the way through and through where my teeth touched.
Oh
Because
wow.
obviously, because it was so soggy and didn't realize my lip was there too, on
Yeah.
some whatever Russian trying to, you know what I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about, I'm bleeding, bro. Bad. I'm bleeding bad,
Hey,
bad.
bro, you too old for
And
this, man.
hey, so I'm like, this ain't nothing but God. Like, I
Ah,
like this ain't. And at the time, I didn't even say it was God. I was like, man, it's the universe. Because at the time, I wasn't even spiritual at the time.
I
But
say
I'm
the
like, man,
same
it's the
thing. I used to
universe.
say the
I
universe. Yep.
shouldn't even be I shouldn't be eating this. This happened because I shouldn't have been eating it. And since that time, I haven't. I dibble and dabble from seafood from time to time, but since that time I haven't eaten any type of animal that pretty much walk primarily on land. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
I've dabbled mostly in things that deal with in the sea.
Yeah.
So at this current juncture, I'm not a vegan the way I was. I was like vegan strong for probably like 2.5 years, but more so I'll
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
categorize.
whoa. Hold on. We don't want to let that go. It's levels to the veganism. Explain the first level of veganism, like for real, like as it relates to, like you said, it's three different types of
Oh,
vegans. You know what I mean? I don't want to say it's three. To me, I know two, but tell me the different types of vegans.
so you got the alkaline vegans, right? The alkaline vegans are more so what you got vegans, right?
Yep.
So you got the vegan vegans, right? Which are the individuals who don't deal with any animal product at all,
At
meaning
all.
no leather, any type. They don't even deal with any type of material foods or whatever that has any animals being harmed at all. So veganism is a lifestyle. So I want to be more. I want to be very. I want to give clarity that I wasn't a vegan. I followed the vegan dietary regimen
Got it. Got
because
it.
I don't want to be disrespectful to people who are vegans because people who are vegans don't wear leather. They don't wear animal clothing. They don't deal with any products that harm animals. It's a very strict lifestyle. So I won't say I
Yeah.
was vegan because it's easy to say that, but to be very explicit is to say I followed their dietary regimen.
Got
You know
it.
what I mean?
Got it.
So
Okay.
if you want to talk about exclusively their dietary regimen, I believe there are different levels. There are the levels of where a person can be a vegan dietarily,
Mm-hmm.
where they follow Dr. Sadie's diet, meaning
Okay.
nuts, fruits, and grains, no sugar, no anything outside of what comes from the ground.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's the only thing they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
They deal with supplements very very minutely,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and they're always doing their research. Like people don't know that gummy bears, like people you're not supposed to eat gum. Not saying you're not supposed to,
Got some
but
pork in it.
the meat conglomerates have made so much money in so many different areas that a lot of the candy industry is part of the meat industry because it got
Yeah.
gelatin in it, and
Yep.
gelatin is pretty much a byproduct of bones and all types of things that they disregard that
Mm-hmm.
they put into this goo, and it comes and it hardens, and
Yep.
that's how you got gummy bears. A lot of candies has
Mm-hmm.
gelatin in it, which comes from the meat industry. You know what I mean? So
All right, doctor. All right,
they found,
doctor.
they
Cook
found
it
a way to
now.
monetize. They found a way to monetize some of their disregards, which on business 101, which is a great thing, right? Like anything that you deal with in your business that you can disregard, that you can make money off of, is
Right.
phenomenal, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they found a way to do so. But the only thing about that, it is a large part of our candy industry. I mean,
Yep.
even Jello. Jello is gelatin.
Mm-hmm.
It is a meat product. People don't know that Jello is a meat product. It comes
Mm-hmm.
from bone marrow where they boil it down at a high degree and put food coloring and flavoring to it. But initially it's still a meat product. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Great call out. Great call out. So you got the Dr. Sebi diet regimen, and then you have the alkaline vegans and different things I neighbor is levels to it. And then you got me.
But there's one more level.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
There's
Go
one more
ahead.
level to the vegan. But there's one more. But the other one is like I'm a vegan, but I eat all trash food.
And then you got the vegetarians, and then you got the part-time vegetarians like
Yeah,
myself.
yeah. Then you got the vegetarians who sometimes who still eat eggs. You got the vegetarian who eat eggs. You got the
Yep.
vegetarian who don't eat eggs. And
Yep.
then you got the part timers. And then you got and then the pescatarians kind of fall. It depends on what type of pescatarian you're dealing with that fall
Yeah.
kind of in the middle of it. But it's all different phrases and shades of different dietary regimen. But I always believe that everyone should do what's best for them,
Mm,
for their body type,
mm,
and and then all this stuff has to be done in moderation too,
mm.
in my opinion. Like you got certain individuals who eat whatever they want, and they found the great medium for them to do that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't like working out. I
Yeah.
do not like working out. So I believe my food dietary regimen has to be a little bit more extreme than it
Hmm.
would be if I was the person who did work out. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Great caller. I want you to revisit that because that's important that you said that's mission critical. Your genes and who you are, like as it relates to your body type, depends on what type of diet you should be involved in. Because a lot of people will try to force things on you, like you don't need to eat meat, you don't need to do that. But it depends on your specific genes and how. I mean, you wouldn't know that, but if you look at somebody's family, you could tell. To me, and I'm not judging people, but I always looked at people like your outer appearance is a big part of your discipline. That's how I look at somebody. I'm like, man, that person discipline is horrible. And you know what? I digress. Point is, you you touched on you, you touched on you, you touched on those.
So, but hey, how you doing? Your discipline. Now that I met you, horrible.
Hey,
Hey, your friend.
hey, you and X used to say cats out here looking like a pears. Dad out here with they dad bods. No, what is it called?
Hey, at the end of the day, man, you are what you eat, bro. You are what you eat. And so,
Hey,
hey,
it's a whole movement behind it. Look at my dad bod. No, dog, you shouldn't be like that. That ain't
it's
healthy, man.
like, and then we could justify like the amazing thing about the body and mind is that we could justify anything. You know what I mean? You
Right?
could like somebody not looking the best or whatever. We could justify anything, but at the end of the day, like when you start looking at some of the statistics of prostate cancer in the community, colon cancer in the community, type 2 diabetes, which can be reversible. We're talking about our dietary regimen, and we're talking about things that's not readily available in conversation and
Yeah.
information when it comes to close proximity. Meaning,
Hmm.
when I'm talking to you, you like, yeah, that's you, right?
Hmm.
But that conversation will always be different at a different point in time in your life, right? Like, so when we 22 years old, me and you was 22 years old, we was like, eat whatever. Like somebody telling us about diet, we like,
Right.
what? Like I'm in the prime of my life. I can eat this. I'm gonna eat this way forever. But
Hmm.
we're talking to somebody who's 35, whose metabolism has slowed. Over time, eating those bad foods have a different outlook on life, and we're disregarded from our ignorance
Yeah.
at the time, right? So
Yeah.
when I'm talking to like if you could talk, you know how it is. We talk, right? So
Hmm.
talking to the youth, they be looking at us like, nah, that's you. But I'm
Hmm.
looking at but they don't realize it's like I'm looking at you because you was me.
Yep. Hey,
And
shout out to the kids that graduated from UCW, man. One time, man.
for
I
sure.
think about y'all. Y'all cross my mind a lot. And some of y'all doing some, don't do that, man. Some of y'all doing some amazing things in life,
For
and then
sure.
others, it's a tough conversation I have with people, man. Because I used to be like, I used to have my thumb on a lot of people, and I used to be thinking they're gonna be great. But I digress. The point is, he touched. If you notice Cordell at the beginning, he touched on one how he actually had the exposure. Two, he took that exposure, and when he went to college, you see his impact and just his how he move and being self-disciplined. I like to say knowing is half the battle, which is your self-awareness. He always have this self-awareness about himself. And then he always was in leadership roles where he may not have been the best person, but at the same time, he when he grew into the role or learned what it needs to do, he actually took it to a whole nother level. And that's anything that he actually touched. Um, I want to ask you this as we close out. Where you at in life? What has been your biggest success?
I can't say currently. I mean, where I'm at to answer the first part, where I'm at with life right now is just I'm on a spiritual journey. At one point in time, I was just on this financial journey of just like I was debt free, which I'm still on the debt free train. But I was
Tell everybody about the fire movement. Tell everybody about it. They might not know what it means, and tell them what the acronym is.
you talking about fire?
Yeah, yeah. Tell them about what the fire movement is. Go ahead, tell them, bro, because you ain't going nowhere, bro. You if you did go somewhere, do I gotta pay? Y'all, I can't make this up. I told Cordell he's gonna be in the way. He said how much is the suits? I was like, hey, when I tell you this guy is frugal for real, he is serious about where his money going and different things of that nature. But that goes back and attests to his self-discipline and him knowing where he wants to get in life. So I'm sorry I digress, but tell me a little
Nah,
bit about that.
but it's just I mean, I grew up, man. I saw my mom. I didn't realize I was poor until I got to college. Like all like when my mom bought, I had shoes, we use anything that I wanted, in some way, shape, or fashion, I got. And even if I didn't get it, I got some some form of it, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't realize we was poor until one of my roommates invited me to Thanksgiving to his house. One Well, I think it was like my sophomore year.
Mhm.
Sophomore year, he's like, man, come to Thanksgiving with me. I'm like, all right, cool. We went out there and I saw how he was living, and it wasn't how I was living, and it made me realize
Ah, okay. I'm glad that you said that example because I was thinking poor. I said this dude Cordell was best dressed. If they had a contest, you was best dressed. Not only
but
that, you was selling clothes. You and Martin was selling
that
the
was yeah,
Echoes and all that other kind of stuff.
that
But
was
go
yeah, that
ahead.
was my junior year. That was my junior year in college. But
Ah,
my
okay.
sophomore year in college, and even my freshman year, like you don't. I mean, because when I'm talking about poor, I'm just talking about at the status of uh, it was just me and my mom in the household, how much money she made, and
Oh, got it.
like you know what I'm saying. And you doing that math, I think when you do that math, we was considered poor.
Yeah, under the poverty level. I
So
get it. I get it. What is it?
so
30K in order to be.
yeah, like so
Yep.
it's 30K. You got two individuals in the household. You
Yep.
poor. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You at the
Yeah.
poverty. You're below the poverty line, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't know that though. I didn't know what it looked like to live in abundance and not realize it. Like so when we went to his house, my one of my roommates, when we went to his house, I'm looking at how he's living, and he doesn't even understand the abundance that he's living in. Like I'm like,
Mm,
dang, you got a TV in your room. Oh, you got
hmm.
this, and he's looking at it like it's nothing because that's just his norm. It was no knock to him,
Right.
but that was his normalcy, and it wasn't
Yep.
mine. So I'm realizing that I didn't grow up with these certain types of privileges. So so we were poor. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So then I look back to times where I had to give like I saved up money and had to give my mom some money at times to pay bills. And this didn't happen all the time. It probably happened once or twice in my whole life because
Yeah.
my mom was a hard worker. But my mom was a person who mismanaged money. You know what I mean?
Ah,
As it
okay.
came her way. You know what I mean?
So,
Like
so it's safe to say that you didn't learn financial literacy from your mom.
I did, but that's the thing. I did though.
Oh,
And
you
that goes,
did.
but
Tell me
it
more.
goes to the close proximity thing where you can learn a lesson by doing the opposite of what someone does.
Ah, got it.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my mother's action was like, oh, I want that, I get that, even if I don't have it in my account, living off credit, right? Because that's
Yeah.
how, right? My mindset was like, I'm never going to do that. I'm not going to buy nothing unless I got it in the account to cover it.
Yep.
Even if I swipe my credit card, I got it in my account to cover it, right?
Hmm.
So I learned, like my mom never sat me down and taught me that, but I learned that observantly from
Mm.
her. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And that's why.
Absolutely.
So to get back to the point was about me being frugal. I learned being frugal from that though. Like I didn't want to go to places. I didn't want to be there if I couldn't be there. If it was
Yeah.
a trip that everybody planned, like oh yeah, it's 2,000, it's 1,500 for this trip, and you still got to pay for food and transportation. And I know I got credit cards to do it. Hey, y'all have a good time. If I don't
Yeah.
got it,
Yeah.
y'all have a good time because
Yep.
and another thing with what I was uh grateful for was the fraternity afforded good times to know that I've had enough good times where I can miss them.
Yeah.
Like I like me missing this one, I could just go up to the next one.
Yeah.
I don't have to
Hold on. Okay. But before you go into, I want you to touch on because I actually said how our chapter was run like a business,
show.
and y'all, I don't think y'all understand when I say run like a business. So, for example, you may have nationals and you send 2 delegates. However, we were a pretty good stepping team, so we used to have those trips. And mind you, you got to pay for everybody's flight, no matter if you're getting rental cars, no matter however it was. Those the way the chapter was ran was mission critical for our success over. That's why we was able to reign supreme, for so long. And I remember at one point when I first became a alpha and I came to a meeting that Sunday and I was looking like, man, they not playing. This is the real business. This is real. This is where the real work starts. Hey, y'all. No, my if I ain't even gonna say what we was talking about, but listen, the business chapter was ran like a business, and you played a big part of that at being the chapter and then finding people who can you can put in roles and trust, different things of that nature, and put people in roles where they can actually grow and learn as well. We're doing pretty good as we speak today, but I kind of want you to revisit that business part, but I digress. I'm gonna leave that
Nah,
part alone. But
nah.
that fire movement, keep going, man.
But yeah, but with the and this is more importantly with the fraternity, because with the fraternity, the reason why we were able to run like a business was really predicated off of a certain individuals that laid forth the groundwork and foundation once again before I got there. Very similar to the Hell's Kitchen thing,
What line was it? 04 or was it
oh
what? What
04.
is it? Nine Sons of Shadows? Who was it?
We talking about new for us. We're talking about the individuals that were intricate parts in bringing along the new breed, which was Will Murray, Link, Lacey,
Yeah,
Dane,
yeah,
Joe, and Ned,
yeah,
John, the twins, Johnny,
yeah,
Catone, and all those individuals. It was certain individuals that made those individuals
yeah.
that instilled certain things into them, and then those
Got it.
same individuals that I'm talking about instilled certain things into the line that I was part of.
Okay,
And
hold on. I'm sorry. What you said? You used the word made.
like we're talking about in the sense of they instilled certain
I'm
individual
playing, bro. Don't do
characteristics.
that. Don't do that, bro. I'm playing.
They instilled certain individual characteristics because Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Once you know what I'm saying, become a member, that is definitely important that those things are being passed down, and those
Absolutely.
things were passed down from them being part of the fraternity a year before and passed down on to us, which was the line that I was part of. And what was happening was it was a like sometimes in life things are just all working out together perfectly at the same exact time for certain things to happen. So
You think
when
so? I don't know. I think I'm gonna push back on that. The reason why I'm gonna push back is because that became the norm. Seeing it from New Breed, seeing it from Risky Business, seeing it from 10 Degrees, who picked it up the most was Ralph. It became the norm, and that goes back to the proximity principle, like you always talk about. Those became the norm and became the culture within the chapter itself. No matter if you was in the chapter or not, certain people had certain qualities and they was able to get in position to actually take things to the next level, or some people may ride other people's wave. So I don't know, I'm gonna push back on that a little bit. What do you think? What's your rebuttal there?
what I'm saying is culturally, right? Like we came into a place where cell phones were more prevalent,
Got it.
right? Communication was more prevalent.
Ah,
So a large portion of our success came out of the brothers that laid forth the groundwork of our step team. The step team was our foundation of our
ah,
success. Like
the,
I don't
the
believe
revenue,
that.
right? Big
Yeah.
part of the revenue came from stepping.
So we're talking about Carthon. We're talking about Lacey. We're talking about Carl. We're talking about my saying Teddy, and we're talking about Terrace. We're talking about that whole part of it. At one point in time, when we first came in, step shows wasn't a prevalent thing where you travel to do a lot of step shows.
Yeah.
But at this time, cell phones are becoming more popular, so it's communication is more easier. Facebook is coming out, so now instead of us just stepping across the street and at our school, now we can step in many different places. It opened up more opportunity, like the internet has done, for business opportunities, and those things the fraternity benefited from those things of the communication era that you said that started around like that 2004 5
Yeah.
area where it started to get the boom of it, right?
Yep.
So that's when we start traveling. We start going to Toledo. We'll go to Pittsburgh. We'll go to like Pennsylvania. We'll go to St. Louis. We'll go to places in the Midwest and start stepping, and it made our name more prevalent. So now we're dealing with a fraternity and certain younger brothers who got the Robert Rules of Order of how to operate the fraternity, but also now we're dealing with more money than the fraternity is used to dealing with. So now we have to take certain precautions and certain types of structure to understand what do we do with this money. Like we used to pay for our fraternity insurance and pay for our dues. We used to like have to throw Dayton events on the campus, or we'll have to do all these different fundraising things. But we just found a different avenue with stepping to be our fundraising, our predominant fundraising tool
Absolutely.
to make our ends. But then it got to a point, not to a point, but it got to the point where the stuff that we used to struggle just to pay for was getting paid for easily now.
Mm-hmm.
Like we used to struggle to like pay for insurance, struggle to pay for dues, pay for all the paternal things.
How did it transfer into your personal finance and way you view things?
I mean, me, I wanted. That's why I wanted. I remember I lost. I ran for be the treasurer my first year straight out, and I lost because I was living a certain type of lifestyle that brothers didn't agree with. You know what I'm saying? And which was fair because it was fair. It was no knot on the frat because if you think about it objectively, I would have made a very similar decision. I was doing certain things in my life at that time that wouldn't warrant me to be the treasurer of the fraternity. You know what I mean? And but I just looked at the money that we were making and looking how we were conducting ourselves. And I was like, man, I think we could do more and we could push it more. So when Ned was president, I was the treasurer, and I was very strict just on how we spent money. And I looked at us as brothers because the crazy thing about being in a fraternity is that when we do our business, when we're doing our events and things, like sometimes we are at each other's throat, and then soon after that's over, we kicking it, having the greatest time. You know what I mean? Laughing at each other, ribbing on each other, whatever. But that was a thing because we had to stay objective about our goals. Like just because I'm super cool with you and me and you was kicking it to 2 o'clock in the morning, now that we in the meeting and you're saying something and that I disagree with, I have to still disagree respectfully because the fraternity is more important than, and the business of the fraternity is more important than our relationship.
No, that's a great call out. Healthy boundaries. Great call out.
Right. And the reason why we were so successful in those years, I don't believe it was just predicated off of the things that I contributed. I think I was a contributing factor, but I think all of us had that same mentality. Like we, soon after me and you argue, we can go and have a great time 20 minutes later. Mm-hmm. That's what we used to do. We used to argue and do other things to settle our differences. But 5 minutes later, we back in good graces with each other because we knew that was business, and we know over here is our friendship and our, you know what I'm saying, the personal. We always was able to separate the two, and that's why when you refer back to those years, you may look at it in a different view than what was actually happening, which was hard work. Those brothers those step team members was putting in pain, putting in blood, putting in sweat every day, almost 5 to 6 days a week, 3 hours a day, stepping, learning new steps, still going into school, still dealing with family, still dealing with girlfriends, still dealing with financial issues with the school, and still stepping 3 hours out of their own time that they wasn't getting personally paid for. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So what was happening was you had certain individuals that were like the machine of the brains of the operation. Then you had the workers of the operation, and then you had the people who kind of like maneuver in both worlds, who stepped in was brains, and you just had a great balance of fraternity that was actually happening that contribute to that success. I was just a part. I don't even want to say an intricate part. I know I just did my job well because I saw other people like Teddy Pooh, Carl Carthon doing their job extremely well versus everybody else. Put it on pause.
I don't even know. I don't even know, man.
But on the fraternal level though, but like we was clicking on all cylinders, like we was a well-oiled machine, and I remember those guys putting the pain in for those step shows, and then on Sunday, still was humble because people don't know fraternally that we deal with funds and we're a nonprofit organization, and with nonprofit organizations, you can't finesse certain things, and those brothers didn't finesse certain things, in my opinion, meaning. They could have voted to give themselves stipends. You know what I'm saying? They was making so much money for us that we could have voted to give them per diems every trip they made. Mm-hmm. But they didn't though. Because they were so in it for the love of just stepping in the admiration of being just the best. Mm-hmm. We was people don't realize it, or maybe they do, because I don't talk to everybody, but we were the best step team in the world at a point of time.
Yeah.
in the world.
Hands
Meaning, I
down.
can't say we stepped against everybody in the world, but just like when when uh when the person win the Super Bowl, they the world champs.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't play every football in the whole world,
Mm-hmm.
but they the world champ. We was the world's best
Yeah.
step team. We
Who won
won.
last?
We won the biggest competition they ever had for step shows that they gave money for. We won it both times. They only had it twice, and we won it twice.
The Sprite. What is it called? The
The
Sprite
Sprite
Step Off,
step
right?
off.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won it twice.
BET Sprite Step Off. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put a link to that.
So that's those two different things, bruh.
Oh,
And
it
that's another.
was.
Listen, we won the BET Spring Bling,
I remember that.
and the Sprite step off was through Sprite. It wasn't through BET.
Oh.
So that's what I'm saying. And we won the Sprite step off twice. We won the BET Spring Bling. We won every single big thing that we wanted to.
Touch anything we touch, greatness.
Like Midas. We had the Midas touch. Everything was turning into gold. And it wasn't because it was all from hard work. And we're talking about great minds.
Yeah.
I was with Teddy was here last week, and he was talking about beats and how many steps per minute and all these things. And I couldn't even fathom. I remember I was on the step team for 1 year.
I didn't make the step 10. I tried out. They like, nah, you can't get this step. I was trying to learn the very first step. For like a week and a half, they like, nah, Reese, you ain't got this 2 left feet.
And
man.
that's crazy. Like, cause you got some fraternities where just you being there, you gotta step. Like
Yep.
we had it where you could cut a person. That's a luxury. To even cut a member is a luxury. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Everybody knew their role too and was humble about their role too. But I like how you tied that finance piece into like how and why our fraternity ran the way, like, and we was able to reign supreme for some time here, no matter if it was stepping, like everything. On your personal finances here, and I know we're gonna wrap this thing up here. I know I said, what's your greatest success right now? You was like, I do not know at this point, but you dove into the financial piece a little bit as well. So
because I feel like a ship in the water where it's kind of like when it comes to, and it's like that conversation that I may need to have. Like that's a question I feel like you have when you're 70. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I said right now, what's your greatest accomplishment?
But it's kind of like, it's like a fighter being in a fight, and then you asking the fighter, like, which round did you think you won? Like,
I'll give you an example. And this may sound
right now. I'm like,
this
Coach, tell me.
This may sound harsh, and it may come off as I'm not being malicious, anything of that nature. But my greatest success was I had a failed marriage, and coming back from that, y'all, it took 5 years. It took 5 years coming back from that. And the reason why I say that is that was my greatest success, man, trying to get myself back to that level where I know I can perform at a high level. But it had individuals like Cordell. I had individuals in Chicago like Terrence Brooks. I had other people like Sauter Moore who had their hands on me. Then I had other people like my support system who helped me with Maurice and different things of that nature. But this goes back to your success. A lot of people define success different. I guess I'll ask you this then, since I can't get a clear answer. What's your definition of success then? Right now, where you at? Big old mansion. I know the bank account is crazy because you're frugal. Healthy relationships. Like, what's your definition of success? And
I think my definition of success is just like serenity, right? Like peace and peace of mind, and that goes to all the things that you are talking about, where it's like I'm at peace with my finances, because I don't like owing people money, right? You know what I mean? So the whole debt-free concept was just like, I just don't want to owe nobody anything. And then you remember I used to always say, like, man, if I was debt-free, I could live the same lifestyle I'm living right now, working McDonald's. Yep. Like, the reason why I gotta work so hard I work is because of the debt, not because, you know what I mean?
Yeah, great call out.
Right. So I could work at McDonald's if I didn't have no debts. The house is paid for, no car, no this, no that. I could work at McDonald's and still live the same way, which is a stress-free life and not worrying about looking over my shoulders for somebody that I owe. Yeah. And so success for me was just like owing no debt, making sure that my family is secure and safe.
Mm,
Let that be physical and spiritual, and also just growing,
mm,
just always growing, knowing that I don't know everything, and that really I'm just a sponge, and with a sponge, like you know what I'm saying, a sponge absorbs a lot, and then when you squeeze a sponge, it lets some things it disregards, and it still holds water. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah.
it keeps its things that it keeps things that's required for it to stay. You know what I'm saying? Lucid, but also disregard things for it to be too heavy. And
Mm,
so to give you like a, a fine-tuned definition on success, I really couldn't, because I'm just in a position. I'm just like mentally just in a place where it's just like I'm
yeah,
I'm just transitioning. Like I don't
yeah.
and then I don't even want I wouldn't even want to give it an answer, because my answer will be different from tomorrow, from an answer to 2 weeks from now. Just like somebody saying, like, what's your top 5 rappers? You right now you give me
Yeah.
top 5, then
The
60 days from now you give me a different
yeah,
top 5.
the only reason why I'm adamant about that portion of success is because um I was in a dark place,
Oh,
and
for sure.
my loved ones around me, very similar to you, Brooks, and everybody, Teddy, and shout out my brother, and everybody. I was in a dark place, and I had people, loved ones around me, who was ever to coach me and get me through those things. I put it like that.
Hey, when you was in that place, bro, I probably wasn't like I know we talk about it, but you was like, man, I did exactly what I needed to do, but I wasn't the greatest person at that time either. I was living a heathen life, and but
uh,
but, but I was living a heathen lifestyle. You
I
know what
no,
I'm saying?
I look. I get what you're saying. I was there for some of it. I know, but what as it relates to having people around you making sound decisions, you guys
Got
wasn't
you.
making decisions for me, but you guys will put me in a position to understand, like, hey man, I need you to think about it this perspective or this way. And it took a
Plan C.
bankruptcy, it took a chapter 13 bankruptcy for me to realize things. It took me understanding that I had people in my corner as it relates to your net worth. You know what I mean? Your
Yeah.
net worth is your net worth. I got people around me that's just great. You know what I mean? It's all over me. It's all over my peoples, man. It got to rub off on you, man. Um, Last thing, you don't have social media. How can somebody reach out to you to continue this conversation or ask questions, or they may have some concerns? They may have, Cordell, I need that. I need a recipe. How can they reach you, man? If you don't want nobody to reach you.
They need to they need to reach you, and then you reach me.
Yeah, I knew you was gonna say that. I knew you was
They
gonna
need to
say
reach
that.
out to you. They need to reach out to you to reach it. Like, cause I don't want it. Like the reason why I don't got social media, cause I don't want to be reached though. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
Yeah.
I don't want to. I love the fact that I got that ability to, if I want to be on the scene, I could be on the scene. And then
Yep.
if I don't want to be on the scene, I can easily move it off of it. And then I don't got to deal with the noise. I think, like social media is like,
Oh yeah,
most
man.
people most people spend most of their time on social media not even saying anything, more so absorbing.
Yeah, it's
And
not
I
even
don't want to.
positive or bringing value to people, different things of that nature. That's the whole reason why we have this kind of channel, so we can, help people stay connected to their dreams and goals. You touched on so much stuff today, man. You touched on finance, you touched on businesses or just finance in general. You touched on just a life of just growing up, and your perspective of, one, I was poor, and just different experiences and exposure, and how it actually got you to this level where you at now. So I salute you, man. I know it just
Hey, hey, you was in a dark spot, bro. You was in, I
yo.
remember I was doing the most. I was doing the most in life at the time, and I just remember just looking at you. You was,
Hey man.
but you were so determined though.
Hey,
You was
people
like
don't know,
so.
man. I never really, because I'm on the outside, like you said. I feel like if you, my whole thing is time will tell. You get what I'm saying? So as time and things actually, went through, it all started to make sense, bro. But I was out of character, man. I wasn't myself, man. I would say
You had
that.
to be that, but you had to be that for you to be the person you are now, like the confident individual you are, the family man that you are, with you know what I'm saying, with your wife and everything, and all the successes that you have. Only those successes came from the pain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dark
And then
place.
and then you appreciating, and then of course now that you got the things you have now, you appreciate it way more
Absolutely.
versus you having it back then
All praises to
because of
God.
the pain.
Yeah,
All praise to the Most High. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
Because like and then like and I know we cut, you know what I'm saying, we got to cut off, but I was just always wanted just to to highlight your favor, bro. Like look at all the times that you told me this, like you probably don't even remember that, you don't even not remember, but you just stated this. You was like, before you called me, Myron already hooked me up with a job at UPS. So you had options.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like you
yeah,
wasn't like downtrodden like in the room and like, oh no,
yeah.
nothing is coming my way. Myron hit you up with a position, and you just like, that wasn't for me. And then with your favor, I just so happened to be in a place where I called you where I needed somebody. And the thing was a mutual thing, right? Like it wasn't like I saved you or nothing like that. I needed somebody
Really?
and you needed somebody, and we mutually came together. And even though you wrestled with it in the beginning, you still came to the thing where it happened for you. And
Wait,
this is
wait, wait,
and
wait, wait, wait. So you felt like you was alone in Chicago?
what I'm saying is, at that time in Chicago, I was out here with my lady at that time, and
Ah.
I didn't have no family out here. Like, so the Chicago experience was just a little bit different.
Oh, okay.
When it came, and then when I brought, and then when I when the one opportunity presented itself, and I presented it to Terrace, he took that opportunity, but he's from Chicago. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, this is like it was like homecoming for him, like a
Right.
marching band, in a
Yeah.
sense where he could be closer to his mom and his family, which he
Yeah.
wanted to do. He wanted to do that, but he didn't want to come back out here without any opportunity. So that thing was a mutual thing. But
Yeah.
when I presented it to you and Jew from Milwaukee, you know what I'm saying, Julius Jackson from Milwaukee, so it would have been like a very similar homecoming experience for him. But
Yeah.
when I brought it to you coming out here, I'm like, oh, cool. That's why I was like so adamant, like, come on, stay at the crib. Like,
Yeah.
somebody can get my humor. You know what I mean? Like, somebody can understand these jokes. Somebody can understand this sarcasm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, so when you came, and then when you bounced, I was salty. I'm like, oh, he bounced? I was like, dang. You know what I'm saying? Like, he bounced. But I understood it
I
because
met my wife because of you, and because of you and Rudy, man. I met my wife because of y'all, man. But
divine,
that goes back to what you saying. It was divine.
divine intervention, right? Like, you came to a conclusion, like, man, I'm stretching myself too thin financially, with the house, with the condo that you had, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You was paying for a condo, and you was like, I'm extending myself. I need to get, and you came to reality, like, I need to limit my expenses. And you went through a couple of different phases where you was about to do a couple options. And I'm like, nah, don't do that option. Uh the same,
Hey, what was wrong with me, bro? What was wrong with me?
bruh, you was just I mean, but we from Ohio, we hard headed, bruh. You was like, I'm about to go over here. They offering $800 in meals. I'm like, bruh, no, bruh.
I said, man, Reese about to be good. And
We
then I had,
good. We gotta cook. And I was like, hey, bruh, I was like, the same thing I offered you 2-3 years ago, still downstairs. Like, it's still, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Downstairs, it's like its own oasis. It's an apartment down there.
it is, man.
You,
It's
me,
on.
right? I'm like, you got that
On
whole thing down there.
on access. I had washer and dryer. It was, oh man, it was good times.
So I'm like, and then you was only here for like 60 days. Met your
Good
wife, and
times.
and y'all been, like I said, y'all been thick as thieves ever since. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And
that's a
it's like,
great call
and
out.
those stories, like I told you, I was like, bro, I was like, man, if you wrote this down on paper, you would say Tyler Perry wrote it. You talk about from Wisconsin, if you talk about from UPS, being from Wisconsin, then moving out here to moving where the spot you went to,
Yeah,
it sounds like a Tyler Perry flick,
yeah.
bro.
What Cordell was saying, I never thought I'll make it out of Ohio. And it ain't so much make it out of Ohio. It's just that my dreams and my goals were so small. Then I end up going to Central State and having that exposure. From Central State, I graduated and went to California for an internship. Now I'm on the West Coast for 9 months to a year. Then I moved to the East Coast for another internship, part of the same program. Shout out to Dr. Arthur Thomas, the former CU president from Central State University, who recognized something in me as well and gave me those opportunities. I went to Maryland. From Maryland, I go back to Ohio. I go back to Ohio. Again, we still doing our thing in Ohio. I moved to Wisconsin. From Wisconsin, I moved to Chicago. From Chicago, now here in Georgia. So I'm well versed in living in different areas in life. Well, not life, but in the country. But Cordell, like you touch on a lot of things there, man. Do you go by Cordell these days, DJ Ocho? What do you go
It's a,
by there?
professionally, I got two first names. So, or I got two first names. They say I got two first name or two last names. You know what I mean? So they call me Cordell. People that know me call me. I mean, saying, you know what I mean? Call me DJ because I'm a junior, very similar to yourself. And and we, like Cordell, Dennison. Everybody call me different things, but predominantly everybody call me DJ though. Like you
Yeah,
said.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So wrapping things up, you couldn't get an answer about what success is right now. So that means we got to get a part two.
I mean, we got to do it. We got to do a part two though, just so because there's so much history. Like we need to go into the intricacies though of some of these stories because we got so many
Hey,
stories.
yo, people gonna be laughing at me, man. Y'all gonna be laughing because I listen. I'm gonna let him tell it because he tell it a little bit better than me. But y'all gonna be laughing,
But
man.
it's
I
but
did
it's
some
just all
things.
part of it's all part of the journey though. Like because these stories be so wild. Because like they say uh sometimes real life is crazier than fiction. Like
Yeah,
like sometimes like remember I mean your favorite slug was like man I can't make this stuff up right
right.
because we have been through so much in short periods of time, and then we from Ohio. We teaching in Chicago. We teaching
Oh
in
man.
Wood. We teaching in the Woodline. We don't even understand that we in a place where the drill music is actually living
Yeah,
in real
I
time.
ain't even touch on that, man. Being on the south side of Chicago, and y'all understand when I moved out, y'all, I moved to the I moved to the hood. I didn't
Right
know,
in the
but
Woodline.
I moved right in Woodline on 63rd and
What is that?
63rd. I forgot the
University.
name.
University.
Yeah. So it wasn't the hood, but I'll tell you this, my very first experience, I'm in a classroom. When I tell you some of, and this is why I shouted out my students from UCW, man, like they were so grown. And it's just like that probably happens everywhere. But in Chicago, their experience just from leaving a house to get to school is a whole different ball game. So when they even get to school, now
Wow.
they thinking about food, they thinking about the females, they thinking they're not even trying to learn. Man, boy, listen,
Listen,
not saying they was bad kids, but hey, man, let's just say I got along. I was real cool with them and different things of that nature. Not in cool as in like it was one of those things where they respected me, so I didn't really have a lot
nah, we
of
didn't have no problem.
problems. I
Yeah,
ain't had no problems. Like
we didn't
they,
have the problems, but we knew that they was just from the life though. Like we just
man,
knew like you hearing the stories where I mean I remember I was counseling at the time and I remember just being in my office all the time where students was telling me that they lost their best friend to gun violence. Like yeah,
yeah,
he just got. I'm like, what you doing in here? Nothing. He not. Sometimes they cry, sometimes they don't. But you look at him,
yeah,
he's like, what happened? He was like, such and such got shot in the head yesterday.
yeah,
I'm like, who? I was like, was he like your cousin? He's like, nah, it was my best friend. I'm like,
yeah.
whoa. You know what I'm saying? Like living, like teachers getting robbed. You know what I'm saying? Terrence got robbed. Terrence
Hey,
got
chill
robbed.
out, chill out. I don't think you want to know people to know that.
He tell people all the time. Like
Hey,
only reason I'm saying it.
I'm not laughing because y'all got to hear the backstory of that. So y'all, mind you, I stayed by the school, so I got a call. It's probably like y'all, no lie. It's probably like 5:30 in the morning, probably going on 6. At the time, Brooks was a basketball coach, so he coming in early. You know, he ramping up so he can get an early practice in before school. I get a call, bro. They got everything. I'm like, what? Hello?
It's only funny because he's safe now. It's only funny because
Hey,
he's safe.
I can't make this up, bro. I'm running outside. Yeah, y'all, it's winter. It's basketball season, so you know it's winter. Anybody know anything about Chicago? It's cold, man. The Midwest is cold, but Chicago is a whole different cold. But my God, hey, shout out to Brooks, man. I'm gonna let him tell the story
Yeah, no,
one day,
he
man.
gotta tell the story. I ain't gonna never give. I ain't gonna say the story. I'm just saying that neighborhood was bad. Like where a coach at 5 o'clock in the morning just want to coach his kids to go play basketball, and we don't even have a gym at this time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
Just just he's going over and beyond for these students in this neighborhood, and he gets robbed. You know what
right,
I mean?
man.
Like it don't make no sense, bro.
Yeah, hey, it's some stories, man. And like I said, I got to bring you back here for a part two. Again, man, you cover so much. this probably was like another 2-hour interview, man. But I think it was well needed. And we, like I said, we gotta get you back for a part 2 where I want you to
Chop it
cover.
up like Vlad, bro. Chop these videos up like Vlad.
Hey, hey, can I be honest? I don't know how to edit.
Oh.
I don't know how to edit, bro. I don't know how to edit, bro. So hey, what you get is raw footage. This is what you get, man. You get the raw
Hey, see,
footage.
that's the glow. That's gonna be the glow though. Like next time you gonna come back, you gonna have all this footage and you gonna be able to chop it up on that and get those little 2-3 minute segments. You
You
know what I'm
can put it
saying?
out like Vlad, bro. Like, hey, you
Hey,
funny.
hey,
Yeah.
but because once you get that piece, you're gonna have it where you could chop it, and then instead of you doing these, you could do 2-3 of these interviews, and then you could have so much material. You
Content
have enough
for a
material
month.
for months.
Yeah. For a whole month. Yeah, that's a good call out. That's a good call out. But I like to give it to everybody up front, man, so they can digest it, man, and then be
Oh,
able
for
to
sure.
reach out to you, man. So let's get back together here soon, man. Stay safe, stay healthy, bruh.
Yep, man.
I,
Hey, I'm gonna have to come down there and visit y'all in that warm weather, man. That's 70. That 50, 55-degree weather.
oh yeah, it ain't bad. It ain't bad. It's a nice day out, man. I promise you. Only thing you need is a hoodie or a sweater. You can use
Oh,
that
that's
cardigan you got on right there.
got the,
Backyard and cardigan.
double breasted. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
that's what they call that.
Cardigan.
Okay, that's what they call that. Okay. I don't got no jokes, bro. I'm done. I'm done. I don't even want to go there. Not on camera.
All right. Talking about I pledge allegiance to the
Yo, I'm done. Hey, y'all, stay safe. I see everybody back here on the next upload. Later.
All right.